Before the world takes a step, something unseen decides how that step will land. Between skin and stone, between ambition and gravity, there is a quiet layer of control. It doesn't advertise, it doesn't chase attention. Yet it grips mountains, factories, battlefields, and city streets alike. Markets celebrate brands, but power often lives beneath them. And sometimes, the most influential companies are the ones you never notice at all. So what kind of business shapes how the world moves without anyone knowing its name? The company is called Vibram. Not a fashion house, not a tech giant, not a logo you search for. And yet, Vibram rubber sits beneath millions of feet every single day. Founded in Italy, Vibram is the world's most dominant producer of high-performance rubber soles, used by brands you do recognize. Hiking boots, military footwear, industrial safety shoes, luxury outdoor brands, even space-grade applications. From Everest expeditions to factory floors, from firefighters to special forces, Vibram is there, quietly absorbing impact, resisting wear and controlling friction. This is not a consumer brand. It's a component empire. Vibram doesn't sell dreams, it sells certainty. Certainty that a climber won't slip. Certainty that a worker won't fall. Certainty that a product will last longer than its competitors. By remaining invisible, Vibram achieved something rare in modern capitalism. Global influence without global exposure. Its rubber formulations are proprietary. Its relationships with manufacturers are long-term and deeply embedded. And its power doesn't come from marketing budgets, but from becoming irreplaceable inside supply chains. To understand Vibram is to understand a deeper truth about wealth. The real money isn't always made where consumers are looking. It's made where systems depend on something working flawlessly every time. But this quiet dominance didn't begin with strategy decks or branding experts. It began with loss, obsession, and a single fatal mistake in the mountains. And from that moment, an invisible architecture of power began to form. The story of Vibram begins not in a factory, but on a mountain. In 1935, in the Italian Alps, a tragic climbing accident claimed the lives of 6 men. The boots they wore, fitted with felt soles and metal studs, failed them on icy rock. Among those affected was Vito Brammani, an Italian mountaineer and entrepreneur. He didn't see the tragedy as fate. He saw it as a design failure. At the time, mountaineering equipment was artisanal, inconsistent, and dangerously outdated. Rubber technology existed, but no one had applied it seriously to extreme terrain. Brammani envisioned a sole that could grip rock, resist cold, and remain reliable under pressure. In 1937, he patented the Cararmato sole, named after the Italian word for tank tread. Inspired by military vehicle tracks, the design redistributed weight, increased traction, and reduced slippage. It was molded rubber, not stitched felt. Industrial logic replaced tradition. That sole changed everything. For the first time, climbers could trust their footing, and trust is a powerful currency. Vibram, named by combining Vito Brammani, was born quietly, with no ambition to dominate fashion or retail. Its early customers were professionals who risked their lives. That shaped the company's DNA. Performance first, visibility last. Post-World War II, Europe was rebuilding. Industrialization accelerated. Safety standards tightened. And Vibram's rubber, durable, adaptable, and customizable, fit perfectly into a world that suddenly cared about reliability at scale. Factories adopted it, militaries tested it, outdoor brands integrated it. Every early decision reinforced a pattern. Vibram wouldn't own the final product. It would own the critical layer beneath it. A seed planted in necessity began growing into infrastructure. Not loud, not fast, but foundational. And foundations, once set, are difficult to replace. What followed wasn't explosive growth, but something far more dangerous to competitors: entrenchment. And that entrenchment would soon reshape an entire global industry. Vibram's rise did not come from disruption. It came from absorption. As the outdoor industry expanded through the 1960s and 1970s, new brands rushed to define adventure as lifestyle. Boots became symbols. Jackets became identities. But beneath all that storytelling, performance still mattered, and Vibram quietly became the standard. The turning point came when globalization met specialization. By the 1980s, footwear brands faced a choice: invest millions into in-house sole research or outsource to the best. Vibram had already spent decades perfecting rubber chemistry, lug geometry, and durability testing. Replicating that expertise wasn't just expensive, it was irrational. So brands partnered instead. This shifted Vibram's position from supplier to systemic necessity. By the 1990s, Vibram soles were used by hundreds of manufacturers across Europe, Asia, and North America. The company expanded production to multiple countries while keeping research tightly controlled. Not growth for visibility, but growth for resilience. Then came the outdoor boom of the 2000s. Hiking, trail running, and tactical gear exploded into mainstream markets. Footwear sales surged, and with them, Vibram's influence deepened. By some industry estimates, over 1,000 brands would eventually use Vibram technology across more than 40 countries. But Vibram didn't chase volume blindly. It made a calculated decision. No private labels, no direct-to-consumer war, no fashion cycles. Instead, it doubled down on certification and control. Only approved partners could use the Vibram name. Only tested compounds could carry its logo. When minimalism arrived in the late 2000s, Vibram adapted again, launching Vibram 5 Fingers, a controversial but influential barefoot shoe experiment. It didn't dominate the market, but it proved something crucial: Vibram could shape trends without depending on them. Even lawsuits and regulatory challenges didn't break its position. They clarified it. Vibram retreated from consumer spotlight and returned to its strongest posture: the invisible authority beneath the product. While brands rose and fell, merged and collapsed, Vibram remained. Not because it was trendy, but because replacing it meant risking failure. Power had shifted, not to the company that owned the customer, but to the one that owned traction itself. Vibram's true strength is not rubber. It's architecture. First, there is formula secrecy. Vibram develops hundreds of proprietary rubber compounds, each tuned for temperature, terrain, and wear. These formulas are never licensed, never sold, never reverse-engineered easily. A sole isn't just molded, it's engineered chemistry. Second, switching costs. Once a brand designs a boot around a Vibram sole, changing suppliers is risky. Traction patterns affect balance. Rubber density affects fatigue. A small change can lead to returns, injuries, or lawsuits. So brands stay, not by contract but by dependence. Third, brand leverage without consumer marketing. Vibram doesn't compete with its customers, it empowers them. By placing its yellow octagon logo on the sole, it signals quality to professionals without overshadowing the brand above it. It's ingredient branding done perfectly, like Intel Inside but quieter. And finally, selective scarcity. Vibram doesn't work with everyone. Access is controlled. Approval is slow. This turns partnership into status. When Vibram says yes, the product instantly inherits credibility built over decades. These mechanisms create a silent engine of profit. Low advertising spend, high margins, global reach. The result is not explosive revenue, but durable wealth. Vibram didn't optimize for growth curves. It optimized for inevitability. And inevitability is the most profitable position a business can hold. Every soul carries more than weight. It carries consequence. For a mountaineer, Vibram means trust. Trust that the ground will hold when the body is exhausted and the air is thin. For a factory worker, it means safety across 10-hour shifts on unforgiving floors. For soldiers, rescue teams, and firefighters, it means survival measured in fractions of a second. This is how systems shape identity. Vibram doesn't sell aspiration. It sells reliability, and reliability reshapes behavior. People move differently when they trust what's beneath them. They take risks. They go farther. They push limits, often without ever knowing why they feel secure. Entire cultures of outdoor exploration, industrial labor, and tactical performance evolved with Vibram quietly embedded at the base. Every paycheck earned safely, every injury avoided, every journey completed, all echo decisions made decades earlier in rubber labs and testing grounds. But there are no heroes here, and no villains, only systems responding to incentives. Vibram chose durability over disposability, integration over attention, longevity over speed. In a world trained to chase logos and narratives, Vibram reminds us that most power is structural, that wealth accumulates not through noise, but through positioning, and that success more often than not is engineered. Vibram's story is not about shoes. It's about where real power hides. From a tragic accident in the Alps to a global footprint spanning dozens of industries, Vibram built dominance by owning the layer no one thinks to replace. It didn't control consumers. It controlled outcomes. Grip stability, endurance. And in doing so, it became indispensable. The next time you walk across rock, concrete, steel, or ice, ask yourself, what invisible systems are holding you up right now? Who profits from reliability, not recognition? And how many empires exist beneath the surface of everyday life? Because the most powerful companies don't always stand in front of you. Sometimes they're under your feet. If this story changed how you see business, leave a comment. Share it with someone who thinks power always looks loud. And subscribe for more stories about the unseen forces shaping money, markets, and modern life. This story isn't over. It's still walking forward.